So at this moment, I'd like to do a little briefing for the judges. We are going to have 5 contestants today. There'll be 2 portions. The first one will be prepared speech. Cadet will present a 5 to 6 minute speeches. And then right after each speech, there'll be 2 minutes for you to mark for the scores. After you finish, would you please give me a thumb up? So, or put it on the reaction. If judge number 3 could not turn on your video, just click on the reaction. There is a thumbs up icon. Then we'll move on to the next cadet right after. After 5 contestants finish their prepared speech, we will have a 10 minutes break for you to finish your scoring and also the comments. And by that time, we would like you to email the prepared speech scoring to tally person so he can start with the tallying right away. And after the 10 minutes break, there will be impromptu speeches. Impromptu speeches for all the cadets, they will have 3 minutes to do their preparation. And we'll deliver a 2 to 3 minutes speech of each. Right after each speech, there will be 2 minutes break for judges to do your scoring as well. And the speaking order will be reversed from speaker number 5 to 1. So when you mark on your scoring sheet, don't jump to the first column. Start with the 5th column. So keep the speaker number at the same location. So the tally person will get mixed up. You should have 2 sets of scoring sheets. One set prepared speech and the other one set impromptu. If you don't have that, let me know. Then I can email that to you again. So speaker number 1, please get ready. Speaker number 1, how should we remember and honor the sacrifice made by those who serve our nation? How should we remember and honor the sacrifice made by those who serve our nation? Speaker number 1.
Sorry. Thank you, Madam Chair, judges, officers, cadets, and fellow guests. He used to carry a pair of moccasins in his bag with him. He would never tell anyone where he was going, but he would just slip away into the night. They thought he was a ghost. They could never figure out how he passed the lines and the sentries, and he was deathly quiet. He would steal something, like a pair of shoes, right off their feet, or he would leave articles behind like a calling card, just to let them know that he had been there. Tommy Prince was born in a canvas tent in 1915 on Broken Head Reserve in Manitoba. He was one of many children in his family and attended residential schools from the age of 5. Tommy became a survivor of the residential school system, and after leaving, applied to join the Canadian military several times and was rejected, presumably for his race. He was finally accepted when the Second World War started. Over his time as a soldier in the war, he was known for his bravery and ambition. In 1944, he volunteered to run a telephone line into enemy territory, and when cut, he came up with an idea to put on civilian clothing he'd found in the shed and pretended to be a farmer amongst the Germans, leading him to secure a line into enemy territory and make communications back to his Canadian unit. Tommy's courage that day was later recognized with the military medal, the first of many medals he earned for his courage. When Tommy re-enlisted in 1950 for the Korean War, he finally had a breakdown on a recon mission 2 years later, which ended up in his return to Canada. After he was honorably discharged, although he's never assessed or diagnosed, he most certainly suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, which led him to be using alcohol to cope with the horrors of 2 wars. He later beat alcoholism, however, his final years were spent in a homeless shelter with nightmares that would wake him up in sheets spread in sweat and tears. Today, Tommy Prince is recognized as one of the most decorated Aboriginal war veterans in Canadian history. He was a Canadian hero, but died as a tragedy representing our lack of care for veterans coming home after seeing the unseeable. Almost 50 years ago, Tommy Prince passed away, and still we do not have a solution in place for veterans coming home. Daniel Blah suffered a traumatic brain injury on his second tour of Afghanistan. After being in the Army was all he knew, he was discharged and given what he described as some cash and a bunch of pamphlets. He even says that if he got the same injury driving his car, that his insurance would have better prepared him and his family to deal with the struggles that he would face. When he heard about the rehabilitation program and vocational assistance services for veterans in Canada, he saw a glimmer of hope. Daniel wanted to become a lawyer after his service, and this program promised everything necessary to ensure his success during school. Except that wasn't the case. Daniel's application was denied because the length of schooling required to become a lawyer was longer than the threshold of 24 months. Daniel still struggles with PTSD today and looks to a personal psychologist for assistance on a regular basis. We remember every day what our nation's soldiers have done and continue to do for us, so why can't we honor their service to our country with some guidance? Guidance to ensure that they have options for what they want to do for the remainder of their life. Guidance to ensure that they don't end up like Tommy Prince or the 3,000 to 5,000 veterans on the streets as I speak. Canada's Prime Minister told Canadians in 2015 that no veteran will be forced to fight their own government for the support and compensation that they have earned. Meanwhile, most Canadian soldiers who have returned from a battle past 2006 do not qualify for many of these benefits that should be given to those who paid the ultimate price for our country. Veterans are just asking for their life again. When coming home to our home country, those veterans are not asking for much. We need to change how we are addressing these issues with our veterans. In just 2019, 20 Canadian service members died from suicide after suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. We need to honor our veterans by saving them the same way that they did for us. We need to hold accountability for those who could have kept those veterans safe at home but chose a budget over lives. We need to honor what our veterans did for us 50 years ago for Tommy Prince and tomorrow for the future. Madam Chair.
Thank you. Judges, you have 2 minutes. Let's move on to speaker 2. Speaker 2, science and technology. Crop dusting, science and technology. Crop dusting, speaker number 2.
Before I start, is anyone going to be upset if I spoil the movie Planes? The movie Planes is about a plane named Dusty Cropper. He goes to New York and enters a race, and he flies all around the world, and he crashes, but he keeps going, and because it's a Disney movie, he wins the race. Good evening, honorable judges, officers, fellow speakers, other cadets, and guests. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about crop dusters, although racing planes would be pretty cool. Crop dusting is also known as aerial application. The first ever known use of aerial application was by John Chador in Waiora, New Zealand, who, in 1906, thought it was a good idea to take up a hot air balloon and dump seed all over a valley. And it was a good idea because it's still being used now, just with planes. The first ever plane to be used to crop dust was a U.S. Army Air Service Curtiss JN-4 in 1921. The U.S. Army Air Service and the U.S. Department of Agriculture worked together to develop a way to get rid of pests like caterpillars and gnats, which were destroying farmers' crops. The Curtiss JN-4 was modified and used to spread lead arsenate to kill Catawba sphinx caterpillars. Lead arsenate was used because it is toxic and was already in use to kill the snow white linden moth. The problem with lead arsenate is that it's poisonous, but it was 1921, so their safety standards were not as good as today's day and age. The first test was considered highly successful, and because of that, the first commercial operations began in 1924 in Macon, Georgia. Today, both helicopters and planes are used for crop dusting, even though dust isn't actually used anymore. What they spray is usually a liquid fertilizer, herbicide, pesticide, or fungicide. The industry of crop dusting has no shortage of aircraft options. The most common fixed-wing aircraft are the air tractor, the Cessna Ag Wagon, which is a pretty amazing name. There's also the Piper PA-36 Pawnee Brave. That's a mouthful. And there's also the Grumman Ag Cat. The use of helicopters is less common, so much so that I can only find the Bell 47, the Bell 47B, and the Bell 47B3. The only distinguishable difference is their name. I also found a website for an RC helicopter. The use of crop dusting today is heavily regulated because of spray drift, which is the spray being blown by the wind into places other than it was intended, possibly causing harm to the environment, wildlife, livestock, as well as humans. Many countries like Costa Rica, Syria, Cambodia, Dominican Republic, and Colombia have banned or restricted aerial application. One of the most notable bans is that the entire European Union has prohibited aerial spraying, with some restricted exceptions in 2009. The exceptions are if plants are at a serious risk or the landowner can use pesticides to help them to a recovery. The most common type of chemical that is sprayed is glyphosate. It is more commonly known as Roundup. In crop dusting, there are 4 stages. Let's say a farmer is growing a grain, like wheat or barley, that is tall and skinny. The farmer sprays herbicide before the field is planted to get rid of all types of weeds. Next, after it is planted, he sprays for broadleaf weeds, which are plants that have larger, wider leaves. And generally, 3 to 4 weeks before harvest, the farmer sprays fungicides to get rid of any fungus on the crops that would result in a lower yield. I think in the future of crop dusting, there will not be significant change, but one major change that there could be is that there are drones being developed that could lift bans on restrictions because they make the job easier for farmers by removing them from spray drift and reducing the spray drift by being closer to the crops. They also save the farmer more money by being more precise and using less chemical per hectare. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the history of crop dusting and what I think the future will be like. Madam Chair.
Thank you. 2 minutes for the judges. Speaker number 3. Describe a historical event and what it meant to Canada. The raid of Dieppe, World War II. Describe a historical event and what it meant to Canada. The raid of Dieppe, World War II. Speaker number 3.
Hello, Madam Chair, judges, guests, and fellow cadets. August 19th, 1942 saw the grim raid of Dieppe. This was a pivotal moment in the Second World War, and the Allied forces learned many things that would help them in the invasion of Normandy. With Nazi Germany controlling most of Europe, some way was needed to get a good grip on the continent. At this point, the Allies weren't strong enough to mount a full-scale invasion. So to draw some Nazi troops from the eastern front of Russia, the plan for Dieppe was formed. It was to be a major raid on the French port. It was to test new equipment and gain knowledge for an actual invasion. To achieve this, plans were made for a raid to take place in July 1942 called Operation Rudder. Canadians would be the main force. Canada's top generals, Harry Carrar and Andrew McNaughton, wanted the Canadian troops to attack, and Canadians were bored after 2 years of training. Now for what happened. It was an absolute disaster. There were 3 different assault teams. The main beach had the Royal Hamilton Light Infantry, Essex Scottish, and the 14th Tank Regiment, or the Calgary Regiment. At Poise Beach, the Royal Regiment of Canada and the Black Watch, or the Highland Regiment. At Portville, South Saskatchewan Regiment and the Cameron Highlanders of Canada. While the Royal Regiment of Canada was sailing toward Poise, they were discovered. 5 Nazi vessels saw the landing craft and reported them. When they got to the beach, they were caught in a crossfire from defenses on the shore. A and B companies were so badly hit that bodies clogged the doors of the landing craft. The Black Watch landed after them. Mortars turned the beach into rocky shrapnel and decimated the soldiers. Tanks got stuck on pebbles and wouldn't work. Those that got through couldn't make it through barriers on the town's outskirts. The RCAF and the RAF fought the Luftwaffe for the skies and won most of the dogfights, but more Nazi planes joined in and shot down 129 RCA and RAF planes, only losing 48 of their own. Soldiers in the Royal Hamilton Light Infantry made it to Dieppe and took a casino. At Portville, Canadians landed on the wrong side of a river. They had to make it across a well-defended bridge. Lieutenant Colonel Cecile Merritt charged his men over the bridge. Stunned, the Nazis didn't react. He threw a grenade into the pillboxes on the other side. He was awarded the Victoria Cross for his bravery. The Reverend John Weirfoot was the first member of the Canadian Chaplain Services to be awarded the Victoria Cross. Calmly, through 8 hours of intense fire, he rescued the injured and brought them to an aid post. At the end, he calmly walked into German positions to help the Canadian POWs. Those 2 men were the only people to be awarded the Victoria Cross at the raid. In the end, casualties were too many. Canadians had to evacuate and forfeit the fight. After the raid, only about half of the raiders returned. 916 Canadians died, 907 infantrymen, 4 in the Navy, and 5 in the RCAF. We remember. The Dieppe Canadian War Cemetery is located about 5 miles south of Dieppe. The cemetery is unique because of the way the graves are placed in double rows, just how the Germans laid them. Memorials are placed at Poise, Dieppe, and Portville for the Essex Scottish, Royal Regiment of Canada, the Royal Hamilton Light Infantry, the Fusiliers Mont-Royal, the Calgary Regiment, and the Queen's Own Cameron Highlanders of Canada, who gave their lives in the raid. Following the war, the town of Dieppe created a small park at the western end of the esplanade, where it has a memorial of its own. Behind the memorial lies a plaque that recites, "On the 19th of August, 1942, on the beaches of Dieppe, our Canadian cousins marked with their blood the road to our final liberation, foretelling thus their victorious return on September 1st, 1944. This is a translation from French, and it probably sounds better in it. The Canadians who fought in Dieppe achieved and sacrificed much to help the Allies liberate Europe. Debate over the merit of the raid continues to the present day. Some believe that it was a useless slaughter. Others maintain that it was necessary for the success of the invasion of the continent 2 years later on D-Day. Without question, the raid on Dieppe was studied carefully in planning later attacks against the enemy-held coast of France. There were improvements in the technique, fire support, and tactics, which reduced D-Day casualties to an unexpected minimum. The lessons learned at Dieppe were instrumental in saving countless lives on June 6, 1944. Madam Chair.
Thank you. 2 minutes for judges. Speaker number 4, Cadet
Yep.
Choice. Pardon?
I just said yeah.
Okay, Great. Speaker number 4, cadet choice, autism. Autism, speaker number 4.
Hello, cadets and officers. My name is Corporal Bush, and today I'm going to be speaking about autism. In Canada, 1 in 66 children are diagnosed with autism. Autism is a disorder, not a disease. People have been calling it that for decades. They've been trying to find a cure for autism because they think of it as a negative thing. They think of it as a negative thing because they actually don't think. They don't think of Cody Lee, the America's Got Talent winner. They don't think of Albert Einstein, the scientist. They don't think of Temple Grandin, the animal scientist. Signs of autism. There are many signs of autism, too many to talk about, so I'm going to be talking about 2. Repetitive behavior and sensory issues. Repetitive behavior, autism people do repetitive behavior to calm themselves, such as hand flapping, spinning, or rocking back and forth. They do this if they're stressed and if they need to calm down. Sensory issues. Lots of autistic people have sensory issues, such as when there's loud noise, or when they're wearing clothes with tags, or with texture, or with odd textures. And sensory issues could last for a long time for autistic people. Cody Lee. Cody Lee is autistic and blind. He won the America's Got Talent in 2019. He could barely communicate. Most autistic people have talents, and his talent is playing the piano and singing. And if you heard him, you wouldn't even know he was autistic. Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein has the IQ from 160 to 180, but did you know that he showed signs of autism? And he created formulas that we still use to this day. Temple Grandin. Temple Grandin couldn't speak till she was 4. And she got a BA and a master's. And she's an animal scientist. And Temple is now 73 years old, and she talks about autism. Corporal Ethan Bush, yes, that's me, and I am autistic. I showed signs of autism when I was younger, but the doctors did not believe that I was autistic when I was in Edmonton. But when I moved here, the doctors said I was clearly autistic. For sensories, my sensories was I did not like loud noises, and I didn't eat specific food because it would make me feel sick. And I didn't like to wear jeans because I didn't like the texture on it. And repetitive behavior. For my repetitive behavior, I used to put my fingers in my mouth just to calm myself. But then I started to get the flu, and my mom told me to stop because the germs from everything I touch will go in my mouth. So when I stopped, I have been struggling with behavior issues, such as tantrums, not listening, pushing desks over when I'm in school. And I've come a long way from that. And I used to have struggles back then, but now my struggles is other people not knowing what autism is. The cause of this is me being bullied. The spectrum, the autism spectrum has high functioning and low functioning. All the examples I said today, they're on high and low functioning. I'm not gonna say, because I feel like that would be really rude of me to say. And as Temple Grandin said, we are different, but not less. The reason why I want to speak about this is because I want people to know what autism is. People think they know what autism is, but they actually don't. They just think they know. And that was my speech about autism. I hope you learned something and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for listening. Chair.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. We have 2 minutes for the judges. Let's move on to speaker number 5. Speaker number 5, science and technology. Rockets, how hot can they be? Science and technology. Rockets, how hot can they be? Speaker number 5.
Hello, Madam Chair, judges, esteemed guests, cadets, all. As a young child, I would always look up to the night sky and ponder how do we get there? Into space, to the planets and stars. That question has stuck with me since then and has manifested an interest in me, in rockets. From there on, I have made it my goal to understand all that I can about rockets, physics, and chemical reactions. I'd explore online, talk to teachers and amateur rocketeers, and even look through textbooks. Building off of that, in recent endeavors, I have finally been able to put that knowledge to use as I attempt to manufacture a successful rocket. My very own rocket. Building a rocket is a definite challenge, but with a goal in mind and a set question to answer, it is possible. My goal and question are to explore how difficult it is to research, build, and send a rocket to 1 kilometer. Explored now is that answer. Research makes up the bulk of any project. Knowing what you have to do before you do it is an absolute necessity. Without that knowledge, chances are something will go wrong. In the case of rocketry, researching and understanding are your best friends in making a successful rocket. At the beginning of my rocket endeavors, I had a very different idea of how my rocket would have looked. I planned on using a mixture of powdered aluminum and water as my fuel, an experimental mixture referred to as ACLC. Thankfully, as a result of research, I learned that powdered aluminum is illegal in Canada, so I had to change that up. Looking for inspiration, I talked to one of my childhood heroes, a brilliant scientist who pretty much runs the Okanagan Science Center. There, he suggested to me a different fuel combination, potassium nitrate and dextrose. After some talking on some other information, including teaching me about rocket design, engine loading, engine machining, and recovery systems, I was ready. After some finalization of design and some further research, getting a hold of materials and talking to officials to okay the project, I was ready to go forth with the rocket building process. When building a rocket comes to mind, one tends to think of it as such a difficult task. Honestly, manufacturing rocket is difficult, but if you break up each portion of it into smaller pieces, it does get easier. After some assistance from my school shop teacher, I was able to start my rocket machining process. The first step of which was to build the engine's nozzle, the hardest step in the rocket process. The learning curve for this portion was excessively steep, but achievable. After 12 hours of on and off work, I completed the rocket nozzle, and boy was I proud. From there, it was smooth sailing. It just got easier. Building the engine, cutting PVC, slicing up aluminum, preparing a launch recovery system, adding launch assistance, spinning a wooden nose cone, and then adding it all together in one single rocket. With all of that done and dusted comes the fun part, testing and launching. With any multi-million-dollar rocket, rigorous testing of each component needs to occur. These tests are to ensure the rocket will work just as intended, and that's what I did. When it came to my rocket, there are 3 main tests I performed. The first of which on the engine, followed by the engine mount, and then the recovery system. These tests work hand in hand with each other to tell me that the rocket will work just as I want it to. The first test, the engine, was the most entertaining and loud of the tests. The engine was mounted upright on a table and ignited from a distance. And after ignition, I was happy to see that it worked perfectly, finishing its burn in one piece, red hot albeit. The next test was to test the engine mount, a simple test just to make sure that it would hold itself in place in mid-flight and wouldn't become dislodged. And the final test was one for the recovery system to make sure all would work perfectly, that it would deploy at a certain height, and then the rocket would gently come back down to the ground. With all those tests completed and succeeded, I was ready for the fun part of the process, launching. Now, the launch hasn't occurred just yet, but all is set and ready for the epic finale. Even with the rocket not launched yet, there have been many things I've learned through this rocket experience: patience, prowess, positivity, and dedication. Each step in this rocket process has been an educated leap of faith. And with those leaps of faith, have there been challenges to conquer as well? The biggest of which, with the rocket nozzle machining process. It has been a definite challenge, 6 months in the making, but it's been worth the long wait. I expect, fingers crossed, a full success in my rocket launch and a height of close to 1 kilometer. But only the launch will tell. I've been documenting the whole process. Keep an eye on the news. You might just see something. Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you. 2 minutes for the judges before our break. Okay, it's 2:39 right now. We will retrieve the other part of the competition by 2:49. But now all the cadets will remove from the main stage and back to the breakout room. Speaker number 5. Where is the first place you want to go after restrictions are lifted? Where is the first place you want to go after restrictions are lifted? Speaker number 5.
COVID-19 has had an effect in everyone's lives, whether it is for traveling or just in general. In my case, I have not seen anywhere outside of Vernon for the past year or so, and it'd be nice to have a change, to be honest. Now, when it comes to, let's say, the restrictions lifting and all going back to normal, and I could travel any and everywhere, there's, I wouldn't say one concrete place, but a few places I'd love to travel to. And those are just going across Canada and meeting up with friends and family. Since, like I said, I've been so used to Vernon, I need a change. I would love to start at the West Coast and go all the way to the East Coast, hitting every single province along the way. It'd be an excellent opportunity to get some more driving skills in. I mean, I'm not the best driver, but by the end of it, I could safely say I've traveled across Canada, so that might be some bragging rights. And it'd be exceptionally fun to do so with family and friends. So across Canada, I have friends from camp. Unfortunately, I've only really been accepted into one camp, the Advanced Aerospace National Course. And because of that, I know cadets from across Canada. So these are my friends. I would love to meet every single one of them along the way. They're from provinces all across Canada. So if I could travel from coast to coast, I'd make it my goal to talk to all of my friends from across there. On top of that too, I've met a few friends online, and as I've been locked up downstairs for longer than a year, I've been able to make some friends, so it'd be interesting to meet them as well. So traveling across Canada, meeting friends would be an excellent thing of mine. On top of just meeting friends, family too. I'm Italian, and a part of my Italian heritage, I have a very vast and large family. Across Canada, there are too many. I mean, I love them all, but there's a lot. So being able to experience them all again in person would be such an excellent opportunity. In short, if I had the opportunity to travel again when the restrictions are lifted, I'd go across Canada to see all I could see, my friends, my family, even the sights. It'd be such an excellent opportunity, and I can't wait till it poses itself to me. Thank you, Madam Chair.
2 minutes for the judges. Speaker number 4. Where is the first place you want to go after restrictions are lifted? Where is the first place you want to go after restrictions are lifted? Speaker number 4.
Hello, officers and judges. I am speaker 4, and the question I was given is where would I want to go when restrictions are lifted? I've gotten this question before. People have been told me, where you want to do when COVID is over and when restrictions are lifted. So I've thought of this ahead of time. So there's actually a few places that I would like to go. One place is Edmonton, because in Edmonton, all my family is there, and I haven't seen them in a while. So I want to go to Edmonton and say hi. And my Uncle John actually is in a coma right now, so I want to go check on him. So yeah, and I'd want to go to Toronto. Why Toronto? Because I am a Raptors fan, and that is the basketball team, and maybe I could see a game there. Also, I just love Toronto by itself, and yeah, I think going to Toronto would be a good place. Now, where would I want to go outside of Canada? All the places I want to go is in Canada, but if I had to go anywhere else, I think I'd want to go to Britain. Because Canada is really close to Britain. I think it'll be really neat if I went there. I think it'll be a neat time. I'll go see the Queen's Guards and try to make them laugh if I can. And the one place is actually not that far from here, is a powwow. A powwow is where it's where First Nations gather up and do dances. It's just like a gathering. I love powwows, and I actually want to become a powwow dancer when I'm older. And those are all the places that I would love to go when restrictions are lifted. I hope you enjoyed. Sure.
Thank you. Speaker number 4. 2 minutes for judges. Speaker number 3. Where is the first place you want to go after restrictions are lifted? Where is the first place you want to go after restrictions are lifted? Speaker number 3.
Okay.
So speaker number 3. Where is the first place you want to go after restrictions are lifted? Where is the first place you want to go after restrictions are lifted? Speaker number 3.
Mexico. Almost every summer, me and my family visit Mexico. Usually it's me, my grandparents, my parents, and my sisters. I haven't been there in quite a while because of COVID-19. I like the beaches, the sun, the waves, the snorkeling, the fishing, and the food, especially when it's spicy. I love the animals and their exotic hotels and resorts, and I like when my family is there to enjoy it with me. In my childhood, I remember going out into the waves and being pushed back, and then running back in and being pushed back, and doing it over and over again until I wore myself out. One time, I went snorkeling, and we got in this little patch where there were tiny little prickly creatures that we knew we couldn't touch or we would hurt ourselves. So we had to skim across the water, very carefully paddling our feet all the way back to the shore. I love Mexico because it's so nice there with the temperature. It gives you a break from how cold it is up here. I also love the people there. We go to the markets every time and all the people are very kind, giving us the exact prices from Canadian dollars to pesos, and always telling us where the best food they think in town is. I love Mexico, but I also love Canada, and sometimes when I go for too long, I get homesick. That's kind of all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. 2 minutes for the judges. Speaker number 2. What is the first place you want to go after restrictions are lifted? Where is the first place you want to go after restrictions are lifted? Speaker number 2.
Is there something you look forward to every year? Well, there is something for me. Hello, honorable judges, officers, fellow speakers, cadets, and other guests. The place I want to go to when the restrictions are lifted is my grandparents' house. Because right down the road from them, there's the Fish and Game Park. And every summer at the Fish and Game Park, except for the ones with COVID, obviously, there is a festival held called South Country Fair. It's actually the place where my parents got married. So I have been going to South Country Fair ever since I was 8 weeks old. I also want to go to my grandpa's farm because I get to drive tractors there, and that's pretty fun for me. South Country Fair is right near Fort McLeod, so everyone from South Country Fair lives in and around the area. So I'd love to go visit everyone there. We are just like a giant big family. I also want to go there with my mom and my brother and my dad because we all love it there, and except for my brother, it's where we were all born. My grandpa's acreage is just small, but last summer we worked on his driveway, and that was an awesome memory for me. So this summer, I hope I get to see him again and learn how to work with him. Also with South Country Fair, I always enjoy staying up late and listening to the music on the stage. But last summer, I missed out on it. So this summer, I'm really looking forward to it, as long as it happens. We are such a huge family. There's like 30 of us in the group, and we all love seeing each other. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where I want to go when the summer ends. I mean, when the restrictions are lifted. I want to go to Alberta. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 2. 2 minutes for judges. So speaker number 1, where is the first place you want to go after restrictions are lifted? Where is the first place you want to go after restrictions are lifted? Speaker number 1.
Thank you, Madam Chair, judges, esteemed guests, and cadets. In March of 2020, Canada presumed to a COVID lockdown because of a novel coronavirus that was stemmed from China. Shortly after that time, lots of families kind of had to stick together, which kind of split them apart, mine included. Shortly after the COVID lockdown, my parents actually got divorced, and I still had to go to school here. So I don't want to say it was left. My parents didn't leave me, but they moved to Alberta, and I had to stay in school. So I live on my own. And the first place that I want to go, I just want a hug from my mom, and I want to see my nephew that I haven't even met yet. He was born in June. And this is in Alberta, and Alberta is not a pretty place. It doesn't smell good. It's not great, but it was where I was born and raised, and it's where my parents are. It's where all of my family is. So if there's a place that I want to go after this lockdown, I'm booking a flight. I'm going to Edmonton, and I want to see my brothers. I want to see my parents. There's nothing better than having a hug from your parent after your teen years, when you think, man, I really don't want to talk to my parents. I really don't want to see them. But after you realize how much you miss them and how much you want to talk to them, having that hug, it feels like no other hug. It's like falling on the playground and having your mom come to you and hug you for help, or having your dad come to you and hug you for help. But it's just that refreshing feeling. Although Alberta is not the greatest place, it's not the prettiest, it's no Hawaii, it's no Mexico, but there is nothing, and I mean nothing, better than getting to see your family after this long time, and getting to hug your family, and getting to sit down and have dinner with all of my siblings and all of their kids and my parents. And that's all I'm looking forward to. I can't save up for Mexico when I haven't seen my parents yet. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'm waiting for my parents to come from Far East as well.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So 2 minutes for judges. Okay, while all of you are here, would like to have some interview. Let's start with cadet from 204 Squadron. So okay, let's see. Flight couple. Oops, why my voice is so low? Let me try to
You're
adjust.
coming out strong though.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. So flight couple UNSER-KLEISSEN. Did I pronounce good?
UNSER-KLEISSEN.
Oh, okay. UNSER-KLEISSEN. May I know how many years that you've been with cadet?
This is my 3rd year in cadets.
Okay. Have you ever been to summer camp?
No, unfortunately, last year my summer camp got canceled.
Oh, I see. If you have the chance to go to summer camp, which one that you would prefer?
It would either be survival instructor or aircraft maintenance.
Sounds fantastic. What is your favorite Canadian food?
Oh, that'd be a hard one. I'd have to say maple syrup.
Yeah, that's nice. It is good with pancakes, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Speaker number 2. Let's move on to cadet from Squadron 223. We have 2 choices. Let's start with the LAC Walker. Hello, LAC Walker. Please unmute yourself. What do you think you would like to get more in-person training when the Air Cadet program is back to in-person training? What would you like? Do you know what kind of training that we offer?
Not really, no.
We have band, of course, effective speaking, first aid, range, ground school, fan flying, gliding. Name something that you can think about is related to air.
Probably gliding.
Sounds good. So gliding is one of the popular program of the Air Cadet, and this is very unique. I hope next training year that will back to normal and everyone had the chance to go to gliding. And do you know that BC is the only province we have our own glider? We are so proud of that. Yeah. This is such a nice province that you are in. So back to back to in-person training other than gliding. Do you think you like teaching to other cadets in the future?
Well, I did Navy League for 3 years and I taught a lot of younger people, so yeah.
No wonder you have a good public speaking skill. You must adopt from that. So keep up and do better in the next few years. Oh, what about another cadet from 223 Squadron, Flight Sergeant ROSSNER?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Do you have any excellent experience share to us for your Air Cadet life?
Exceptional experiences. In the summer of 2019, my current last summer camp that I've participated in, I was accepted to Advanced Aerospace, a national course out of Quebec. And there was one fantastic highlight I remember from it. We launched multiple rockets, huge, massive rockets, not as big as that one, but still pretty big. We had a G-class rocket, so the motor's about this big. We had our fantastic rocket. We launched it off. It disappeared. We didn't see it for the next 2 minutes. And then we saw this faint green blip in the sky, like, oh, there it is. And we didn't realize the parachute didn't deploy. So we're pointing at it and we just see it disappear into the horizon. So it was an awesome experience, loud and just absolutely fascinating, but very unfortunate. Our rocket crashed right on the tarmac of the flying center for the glider cadets.
Oh.
So the glider operations were grounded. No one was doing anything. So in a way, you know, it was a sort of success. We're bugging the glider cadets. They weren't very happy with us rocket cadets after that. I could see why, but it was a fantastic experience. That was probably the highlight of my summer experience.
Right. And what about, what did you ever eat at your FTX is the most unfavorable?
Unfavorable. All right. I have allergies. And I thought it'd be a great idea to stick my teeth into a carrot pound cake. And little did I realize that the carrot pound cake has all walnuts in it. So it was quite the enjoyable experience from there, you know, just for a little bit, got through it. It was probably the least enjoyable food I've had as a result of an MRE.
Yes,
right
true.
now.
I heard some other squadrons cadet, they have innovative recipe for during the FTX experience. Thank you, Flight Sergeant.
Flight Sergeant, are you following the saga of SN11?
Yes, sir. I've been watching a little bit of that. It's
well, we're hoping for Monday.
Oh, fingers crossed.
Yeah, really.
That's fascinating what Elon's doing. It's blowing me away every time.
When I was your age, I was launching rockets in BC, which was a little dodgy because it was illegal then. Couldn't resist doing it.
Oh yeah, it's so much fun. I have a few here on my counter. I got the big one in the back, the 80 inches tall.
Oh,
my
wow.
current one I was talking about. It's just the engine here, but 120 grams of fuel.
I was using zinc dust and sulfur as my fuel.
Oh wow, it's very similar to black powder, but that's awesome.
Yeah, it worked pretty well. One time I accidentally lit the rocket when I was screwing the threaded end on. But yeah. My parents came home to a burned up picnic table.
Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
And I didn't have any hair left. So
definitely a conversational piece.
It was. It was very grim.
Wow.
Okay,
good luck.
Thank you.
Let's move on to the only warrant officer second class here. Unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hi. I'm wondering, what do you want to share with us regarding your exceptional cadet experience?
What do I want to share? It's a great program. So let me just talk about this conversation that I had with my friend the other day. And I was like, you know what? Everything that I wear outside of the uniforms that I wear really sucks. Like, I'm not good at dressing myself. I have no sense of fashion whatsoever. And I think that the only reason that I would have that issue is because I joined cadets. So I started getting into a bunch of other uniform kind of things. And like I was talking in the breakout rooms with the other cadets, is that I'm a student paramedic just working on my practicum right now with BC Ambulance. And outside of that, I don't have anything to wear. But this is a good thing somewhat because cadets has kind of brought me up with a very useful way of thinking. So for a lot of times during this practicum, I've experienced that a lot of people aren't quite as accepting to criticism as I am. which is really good. There's a lot of things in cadets that has actually incorporated into my adult life, which I never really expected it to do. When I joined cadets, I kind of just assumed that it was going to be like, oh, you get to go flying, whatever, and that kind of thing. But it's clearly a lot more than that. And it's opened up so many opportunities for me. I've gotten 2 scholarships for it, and it's helped me with school. It's helped me with et cetera, et cetera. The opportunities are really endless for cadets. And that's what I wish I could tell every youth in Canada. Like, you need to be in this program. But, you know, I can't just speak to them all personally, but.
Thank you for sharing your experience. Other than that, what kind of Canadian food that you like the most?
The only Canadian food I can think of is like maple syrup and poutine, and I don't really like maple syrup. I'm like more of a strawberries and whipped cream waffle kind of person, so I'd have to go with poutine. Only occasionally, when I'm looking to have like a night where I just like lay on the couch and I'm like, but poutine would be the one of them.
Yeah, I like poutine as well. So thank you, Warrant Officer Second Class. Oh, the one that I really want you to talk about yourself is the cadet from 909 Squadron, Corporal Buzz. So I feel very moved about your speech and your encouragement.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how long have you been with the Air Cadet?
I've been in the Air Cadet since September in 2019.
2019, 2 years from now. What are you expecting to get from the Air Cadet?
I'm expecting to get I want to join the reserves. So I'm expecting to become a good speaker and be respectful, and yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. Other than do you still have school?
Yeah, we're going to start school tomorrow.
Okay.
So
it's in person,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So full-time in-person school?
Yeah.
Great. More communication makes you better.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Okay, judges. Thank you for your time helping us, and this is a very great event. Without you, we won't have such a great competition.
It's finally working.
Not a problem. So let's start with you then.
Oh, great.
So Sonia is the last minute judge that we get her on board, since one of our judge has power outage at her home. So we got Sonia on board within like half hour, almost like an hour before the competition. Sonia is a teacher from VSB, which is Vancouver School Board. And do you want to talk something about yourself and give out some comments to the cadet?
Yeah, first and foremost, congratulations to every one of the speakers. This is my first time judging, and I am thoroughly impressed. I know, especially the impromptu speech, it's hard, like when you're put on the spot. So good job, everybody. Yeah, I enjoyed all the speeches. I teach grades 6-7 in an elementary school here in Vancouver. And I've taught overseas, I've taught adults, I've taught teenagers. So yeah, it was a really good experience. I felt a little pressured to like write things down and go on the spreadsheet. So, but it all worked out. So good job, thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Next, may I have Miss Joan Irvin? Joan Irvin is our long-time BCPC director. She stepped down from the effective speaking coordinator role since last year. And after that, the torch is passed down to Miss Jermaine Chiu. So, Joan, would you please give us some comments to our cadet and let us know how are you recently?
Yeah, so I have been either teaching or coordinating or running effective speaking programs until I retired from this. I did it for 10 years. And every time I go to a competition, this is my first time judging for a very long time. But every time I go to a competition, I'm blown away once again by how well young people of your ages can actually present yourselves in ways that a lot of adults absolutely are terrified to do. So good on all of you. You all did really, really well today. And especially given the fact that we have this challenge of not having the competition in person, coping with the technology. Young people don't have as much problem with that, but you know, Wi-Fi fails and et cetera, et cetera. So my hat's off to the cadets and also the people actually running the show who made this. I was afraid that I would not enjoy it as much given the process and the environment, but thank you very much for inviting me. It was nice to come back, and some of these cadets I've seen before, and it's nice to see them growing up. And but everybody did really, really well. Congratulations to you.
Thank you, Joan. Next, our current director of BCPC, and also he is the National Public Relationship Coordinator of our province as well. Larry, would you please introduce yourself and give out some comments?
Yeah, I'd like to, first of all, echo the other judges in telling all the contestants how wonderfully they did, especially under these circumstances. I think regardless of whether you do any more public speaking, the experience preparing here is going to give you a leg up in the real world when you're out looking for jobs and doing job interviews. I'm a retired teacher, used to teach senior high English, and I also teach history. And in both of those subjects, I've always managed to include a public speaking assignment of some sort to allow students to sharpen their abilities. A little harder sometimes in history. I came to hate PowerPoints when my kids tried to do them, but otherwise, congratulations, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. So, Ms. Chu, would you please share the screen, and then we can enjoy a video from the National Effective Speaking winner in the past.
Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Juvenin and I represented Squadron 249 at the competition in 2014.
Canada is awesome, but it wasn't always awesome. In fact, it wasn't even always known as Canada. But 150 years ago, some awesome people got together and figured out how to make it happen.
I graduated from the Royal Military College of Canada in 2018 with a degree in chemical engineering. I'm currently a helicopter pilot for the Royal Canadian Air Force, and I'm posted to 103 Search and Rescue Squadron in Gander, Newfoundland to fly the CH-149 Cormorants.
William Henry Pope had to row out in his own little rowboat and bring everyone ashore each day. So as funny as it sounds, Canada almost didn't become a country because of a circus.
I think for me, the effective speaking program highlighted the importance of thinking outside the box, being confident in your ability to take an idea and have some fun with it.
Hi, I'm Jay Shaw, and I represented Saskatchewan at the 2017 and 2018 National Effective Speaking Competition. Currently, I'm finishing my computer engineering degree, and right now I'm on a 16-month internship designing satellite communication systems.
The three aims of the Air Cadet program are to number 1, develop good citizenship and leadership. Number 2, promote physical fitness. And number 3, stimulate an interest in the air element of the Canadian Forces. But is that all that the Air Cadet program does? I don't think so. Instead of just accomplishing these goals, I think the Air Cadet program provides something much more valuable: opportunity.
For me, the effective speaking program helped me build the skills needed to communicate on a big stage. Not just speaking skills, but also writing and thinking on the spot skills as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Pearl Barnes, and in 2016 I represented the 675 Bow Valley Air Cadet Squadron in the National Effective Speaking Competition in Richmond, BC. Currently, I am in Saskatoon getting my degree in education to become a high school English and French teacher. I also volunteer at the 702 Lynx Air Cadet Squadron in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and I'm an improviser in the USask Improv Theatre Group.
As I put on my headset to shut out 4 of the engines, I heard the pilot tell us to get ready because he would be taking off as soon as he got permission. A few words I didn't quite catch were spoken over the radio, and suddenly, we were going fast. Faster, it seemed, than I had ever gone.
I've gained so much from being in effective speaking. I was in the program from my first year all the way up into my 5th year when I won nationals. It's helped me become more confident not only in my future career as a teacher, but in so many facets of life. I am more confident speaking in front of a group of people. I'm more comfortable making friends. I'm more comfortable being in front of a camera. And I owe so much of that confidence to my experiences in the effective speaking program. If I could have one thing to say to the youth, kids who are thinking of joining Air Cadets, I could not recommend highly enough the effective speaking program. It really has changed who I am.
Hi, my name is Chris Zhou, and I represented 60 Confederation Squadron Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, all the way back in 2014. And I just graduated from McMaster University in the Health Sciences program.
I went up to the flight sergeant who was in charge, and I asked him, well, aren't you gonna be mad at me? I've just wasted hours of hard work, and now it's gonna rain and we have to do it again, and he stopped me. He placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder, and he said to me these 6 words: cheer up, it's gonna be all right.
For me, the effective speaking program gave me the courage, know-how, and the experience to communicate effectively with people professionally and personally. I remember right after I aged out of cadets, I was selected to be on the Prime Minister's Youth Council. And I was presenting ideas and suggestions directly to the Prime Minister. And I gotta tell you, if it wasn't for the effective speaking program, I don't think I would have been able to do that. So my advice is, if you're even considering about joining the effective speaking program, don't even hesitate, go for it. It was such a valuable part of my cadet experience, and I think it can be very valuable for you as well.
It is 1917. Sunrise creeps above the horizon. Artillery shells whistle overhead, and men scream on the ground.
Hi, my name is Cody Lincoln. I competed in the National Effective Speaking Competition 3 times, and I currently work as a duty officer at Vanguard Air Care. The effective speaking program has helped me leaps and bounds into having my intercommunication skills with other coworkers, speaking in front of a group without having any fears. It's helped me to be able to voice my opinions, and in life, the effective speaking program has helped me countless times to not be afraid to speak in front of people, and I can't wait to see where it helps me next.
If we look to the battlefields of World War I, we see why freedom is not free and why we cannot forget. It is only there that we may truly understand why it solidified the beliefs of our great nation, Canada.
Thanks to the cadet program, I have a bright future and have progressed as both a pilot and a person. And I'm more than proud to say I wear the 101 crest, both on my flight suit and my tunic. Thank you.
I don't think it's an overstatement to say that communication is the cornerstone of society. Politics, religion, science, art, they're all based on the idea of conveying information from one person to another. I cannot thank enough the Air Cadet program for teaching me communication skills, especially those that I learned in the Effective Speaking program.
And here I am, 4th year in a row, representing my squadron and now the province in effective speaking.
After all, speaking is the most important form of communication. You try going a day without talking to someone and tell me how much you get done. Back in 2015, I graduated from the program. I was a pilot and did fairly well in the Effective Speaking program. Now, I've been combining those two skills in order to communicate my skills to other people. I've tutored people here in town in order to go to flight school. And I'm involved with my local search and rescue unit, where I've trained several spotters in order to execute search and rescue missions across the vast Arctic. So, I hope that you, watching this here, will participate in your squadron's local effective speaking competition. And you go forward and use those skills to help others.
Hi, I'm Cameron Kinsella. I'm formerly from 807 Mount Pearl Squadron in Newfoundland, and I competed in the National Effective Speaking Competition in 2019. Currently, I'm studying mechatronics engineering at the University of Waterloo. The Effective Speaking program has provided me with a variety of skills that help me in both my personal and professional life. I found that I can speak with much more confidence and much more easily to large groups of people. And in my professional life, I found that I can communicate my ideas and thoughts much more clearly and accurately. When it comes to technology, you have to take the good with the bad. And in my eyes, the ability to better educate the world and save lives outweighs everything else. Today, we live in the digital age, and I'm happy to be alive to see it. Without this new advanced technology, I wouldn't be learning a new language. I may not be alive today. And perhaps most importantly, I wouldn't be able to start off my day by watching videos of cats and foxes. I've never really been the outgoing type, so the Effective Speaking program was really outside my comfort zone. But even so, the skills that I gained from the program have been incredibly valuable for me in my daily life, and I'm eternally grateful for the opportunity to have been able to receive those skills.
Hello, hope you enjoyed the video from our National Air Cadet League of Canada. This is time for our BCPC, Effective Speaking Coordinator, Ms. Gail Elgert, to address us.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here this afternoon representing the BC Committee of the Air Cadet League of Canada. I just want to say that I thoroughly enjoyed all the speeches from our 5 cadets this afternoon. All of you did an excellent job. You should be very proud of yourselves. I just wanted to reiterate, I would like to be able to present all 5 of you with first place finishes, but unfortunately that's not what we can do. So, but please know that the skills that you are learning in the Effective Speaking program are very important tools that you'll take with you and put in your toolbox of skills and knowledge to take forward in everything that you do in your future and into everything that you do from here on in. So congratulations to all of you today for participating and all of your hard work that you've done today. So just wishing you all the best in your futures. And also I'd like to thank the judges and all of the volunteers that helped to put this program on today. So Again, thank you all for doing this afternoon. Good luck to all of you.
Ms. Chu, would you please post slideshow, the PowerPoint of our winners? And we'll have our BCPC effective speaking director, Ms. Elgert, to present the awards.
Ms. Elgert, it starts right off with bronze, so get ready.
All right, everyone, drum roll. I'm pleased to announce the winner of the bronze medal goes to Flight Corporal UNSER-KLEISSEN of 204 Black Maria Squadron. Congratulations, Flight Corporal.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. The silver medal is awarded to Warrant Officer Amy GLAUBITZ of 243 OGOPOGO Squadron. Congratulations, Warrant Officer.
Congratulations.
Ready for the drum roll?
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
And our gold medal winner today goes to Flight Sergeant Jaden ROSSNER of 223 Red Lion Squadron. And he will be moving on to the provincial competition on April 17th. Congratulations, Flight Sergeant.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Everyone, you're welcome to join our provincial effective speaking competition on April 17th. The Zoom meeting ID is on the page, and we will share the information to all the SSC chair and our BCBC board member, as well as other members as well. Anyone are welcome. Come and support us. And see you next year. Remember, we are the only competition for Air Cadet this year. You can get your bronze pin from here. No any other competition. Yeah, effective speaking, great. So thank you, everyone. And thank you for all the support. See you next year.